What up, dudes? So I was going to do a podcast on my Winterball season now that it's officially concluded. But when I was on the plane coming home, I bought Wi-Fi for 17 beans, and that's just absurd. $17 I spent on Wi-Fi, and I maybe used 2 hours of it. Anyways, this isn't on that. So I did a Q&A. That's why I said I bought Wi-Fi. I did a Q&A on my Instagram. I haven't done one in a while. And the reason why I'm just going to do this instead of just strictly talking about what I learned in Winterball is because there's a lot of questions in here about Winterball, and we'll just tackle that. But there's also random questions as well. So we're going to tackle everything. And I like answering questions. And I think there's a lot of confusion. And I wanted to do my new little setup in the office. I have a GoPro that's being used as the webcam, and I have my mic, and I'm screen recording, but I'm not recording a screen. I'm recording me. Whoa. All right. So after I get done with this, I will be working on my ebook, Segway, Complete Guide to Pitching Mechanics ebook. It's going to be hot. It's I had to pause it. I was doing it. I was trying to finish it in Puerto Rico, but then I was like, I can't. There's too many things that I want to talk about, and I need access to the lab. I need access to my office. So it was put on hold, and now we're going to resume it. I don't know when it's going to be done. I want to do this one up. So be on the lookout for that. And my analysis services probably will be resuming shortly, but I want to complete the ebook before we do that. Make sense? All right, let's dive into it. We're literally just going to read like question by question. So I have like all the questions, and we're just going to read those off and answer them. We'll see how many we do. When are you going to go back to Puerto Rico? Hopefully I can see you. So I love Puerto Rico. I love playing there in the winter. I've gone a total of 3 winters now, 2016, 2018, and now 2020, 21. And I love it. So there's nothing that's going to stop me from going back. I mean, Lord willing, right? Like I could obviously get hurt and stuff, but definitely will want to be going back as much as I can and as much as the good Lord allows me to. So you might be able to see me. I know there's a lot of people that wanted to see me. I had a lot of followers reach out from Puerto Rico, and the whole COVID thing just made it really impossible to see people, and hopefully when I go back again, the whole COVID pandemic will be gone and I can actually see people, meet people. That's the coolest part. Whoa, what's up, Robby? How long are you in San Francisco? I just flew in there. I was actually there for longer than I intended to because the airporter bus, it was late. Who's in Paris? I don't know what that means. Why iWebs? Oh, I get this question a lot. So my pitching glove I use is iWeb. And this is going to sound like I'm just being funny again, but I'm actually dead serious, and you can take it for a joke. I don't care, but whatever. Just explaining why I use it is because when we were kids, right, like in Little League, we never had like a pitcher specific glove. It was just like you had one glove, and that was that, right? And that's when baseball, when we look back at like Little League, that's when baseball is probably its most fun, maybe high school too. And over the years as being a pitcher only, this is kind of a 2-part answer. Over the years of being a pitcher, you just do a lot of like pitcher specific things, and over time you maybe lose a little bit of holy smokes, you lose a little bit of athleticism. So from the physical side, it's the fact that like it's a smaller glove, it's lighter. I feel more capable of being explosive with my glove side like I want to do, and the mental side is like, for some reason, everyone's different, but for me, some reason, I can always like look back at my mitt, and it can like use it as like my anchor, right? Like I look at it and it's like, oh yeah, Little League. That's why I put a sweatband on it too. And so when things are going off the rails, or like when the game's not fun, I'm getting lit, like all of these things, I could, go to my glove and like be in that moment and be present in that moment and just go, okay, this game is fun. right? Like, that's fun. Okay, let's get back to it. Because I've said this a lot of times. Like, I'm just better when I'm mindful of like gratitude for getting to play this game, which I think a lot of people are. So, 2-part answer: iWeb, because it reminds me of being a kid again in, Little League and stuff. And then for the actual physical side is like, I actually like smaller gloves. I feel like I can, get the glove side going. And with the glove side mechanics, there's something that I want to do, and this will be covered in the ebook as well. But I'm trying to initiate like the tempo and the acceleration of my throwing arm with my glove arm. So there's that piece to it as well. How hard do you throw? Currently, I was 92 to 96 in Winterball, I think. But it varies all the time. Robby, do you want to try to play in the MPB, KBO, or CPBL? So this is something that I'm going to probably have to face, like, with my career. So I definitely want to play. So the underlying goal of like me as a baseball player is to play this game as long as like God allows me to play. And if that is a avenue in which I need to go overseas to explore, then like, so be it. But I will say the goal for me is to be a major league pitcher. Like, that was the goal from the get-go. And I want to accomplish that. Until I see that window closed or that door closed, then I will explore those options. Did the views make up for the lack of Wi-Fi? Oh, in Puerto Rico. Yeah, if you guys follow my journey in Puerto Rico, you'll know that I was really on the struggle bus with the Wi-Fi. But yes, definitely. Puerto Rico is beautiful. The island is gorgeous. How did you like the pitching performance lab in Lexington? Love it. I love all pitching performance labs. I love all like baseball facilities. I just think, especially with the lab in Lexington, it was sick because like the left was like the weight room and then the right was like where you threw. And it was like right there. It's goals. What can you take from playing in Puerto Rico back to the States? So like I said, I've played in Puerto Rico on a couple different occasions. So like going into it, I knew exactly like how it varies between U.S. ball, right? So baseball that we play like affiliated ball. And it's drastically different. I talked about that in a story, I think. I answered it in a story. And it was, they just play with so much passion and they show their passion like on their sleeve, right? They wear it on their sleeve, where it's like, I think in US, like we're a little bit more reserved to the point where, we don't want to like disrespect anything or, we're just, not worried about like those other components. But I will say, man, like watching baseball, the way that like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Latin American countries play it, man, it's just like a whole different freaking ball game. And that is infectious, meaning like you see them play that way and then you kind of like start playing that way. And that could be a good thing in terms of maybe you realize that you're a better player when you play with a lot of like passion and emotion. I know I am. I play with a lot of emotion. Now it might not be the same emotion as like they show. And it might get misinterpreted, right? Like it's not showboating or anything, in my opinion. It's just passion. But I know with me, my emotion is me showing like that I'm happy. And that's like a kind of a different emotion, but maybe, like I said, it gets misinterpreted. But what can I take from playing in Puerto Rico back to the States? What can I take there? There is something that like I learned about myself when I was playing in Puerto Rico, and what I'll take back to the States is the fact that like I'm better when I'm not looking like big picture when I'm on the mound. I talked about that in a podcast, like literally last podcast, called Win This Pitch. But that's something that I really put into practice down there, was like just worrying about one pitch. And then when that pitch is over, all right, next pitch, execute. I've gotten into bad habits in my career where I think about a lot of different things, and those kind of weigh negatively on me. Do you still wish to get signed by a team in the MLB? Absolutely. That is the goal. The reason why I put on my story yesterday that the COVID thing is making it complicated was because they don't know when minor league camp is. So there's probably going to be a lot of organizations that really don't have a number on how many minor leaguers they'll have in camp. So as far as getting a job, it's just going to be tough, right? Like, I mean, it always is tough, but I think it's just going to kind of make it harder. What do you feel is the best way to get your arm in shape and hold velo, long toss, or weights? I don't know why people, and this is no disrespect to the individual that asked this question, but I don't know why people like ask it, is it this or this, right? Like, I never seem to understand that. It's a culmination of everything, man. Like, you know, why do you say long toss or weights? Like, why can't you do both? You know, like there's so many different things involved. And I talk about this often with velocity and stuff like that, is like, so many different things, there's so many different components, and why not like do your due diligence, being an athlete or being someone that wants to obtain the goal of the question you asked. Like, why aren't you checking all those boxes? I've given those boxes on plenty different occasions. So if you want more information on that, go to my website. There's stuff on velocity and all the things that I talk about in order to obtain it. More throwing sessions with Pops since you're back in the States? Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get after it. What was the hardest pitch I ever threw? So pitch, take that as in the game. The hardest pitch I've ever thrown in a game is 99. I see DeGrom, for example, move to the plate while he's in leg kick. Is that essential for velo? Yeah, it's like forward momentum in the initial move, right? That's definitely a component that I think can really help individuals increase their rate of acceleration, as I will talk about pretty thoroughly in my new ebook on mechanics. Is like, I look at pitchers' goals as different due to, you know, the way that they move, how fast they move, what their body type is. There's so many different components. But for DeGrom, being a longer lever guy that really athletic and not as big as far as like mass goes, I think for him to accomplish what he wants to accomplish, like his goal is to increase that forward momentum as much as he can. What was your peak velo and PR? Someone said 97, but I don't think it was accurate. I think it was 96. Are you playing in La Serie del Caribe in Mazatlan? No, we had to win. So if we would have won, our team would have went, but we didn't win, and the team that did win didn't take any of our bullpen arms. Drills to say close on the front side. There is a whole blog that I wrote on my website. I think it would be under glove side mechanics or front side mechanics or something like that. But there's a lot of good stuff on there. Think about the way that you're pointing your lead foot also can really help. Suggestions to gain velo. Yeah, go to my website, type in velo on the search bar, and there you go. I'm very curious for your choice of webbing. I answered that, yeah. Favorite pitch to throw? Honestly, whatever gets the job done. So for me, it's like my four seam and my slider are usually going to be the pitches that are there on a more consistent basis, right? And like my change / split, like whatever you want to call it, and my curveball are more of like hit or miss, but it can vary if one of those is on and I fall in love with it, like that game, like might be my favorite pitch, you know? My favorite pitch is whatever gets the job done, to be completely honest. Not a question, just wanted to say thank you for the content from PR. Thank you for saying that, because that makes me want to give you guys more content. Good vibes. Can I work with you in person when you come back? Absolutely. We're probably give me like a week or two. I'd probably say like 2 weeks, especially because it's like winter time and it's raining outside. So yeah. What do you usually do when your arm feels tired or when it's tough for you to throw? When my arm feels tired, just throw, man. Like, I feel there was a quote, right? There's a quote by Kobe Bryant, I think it was, R.I.P. And he said something about like when the love for the task or the love for the like thing you're doing is greater than the pain or the tiredness or the fatigue, you don't feel it, right? And when I heard him say that, and that's paraphrasing, like I'd encourage you to look up that because you should always listen to Kobe, but it definitely holds true. Like when you love something that much, like the way that I am with baseball and like the passion that I have for the game of baseball is like so high that like nothing else gets really in the way. And especially tiredness and fatigue, like, yeah, those are present maybe, but it's not going to be a make or break type thing. Pain is obviously a different component. Are you still playing pro baseball next year? That is the goal. Are you going to be available to work with when you get back after some rest? Absolutely. Wish I could have seen you play here. Me too. What was your velo like in Puerto Rico? Like I said, I think it was like 92 to 95 or 6. How often did I lift in season? How intense were those sessions? Yeah, that was another thing that I wish I would have done a better job of, is like my training protocols, because they were just not good. There was a lot of things that were kind of affecting that, I guess you would say. But that's just me making an excuse. Like I didn't get the amount of workout sessions in that I wanted to. And when I did, they weren't that good. Let's just put it that way. Do I do grounding / earthing in the snow? Absolutely. Thoughts on crossover symmetry? Love it. Would you be open to further your career in the KBO or MPB? Absolutely. Where does your baseball career go from here? We just keep checking the boxes, man. I'm passionate as ever with the game, playing it, teaching it, instructing it, learning it, like all of those things. And like I said, like I've always told myself that I'm just going to play and as long as God allows me to play. That's really what it comes down to. Not trying to be rude, but are you with an MLB team or are you independent? Not taking rude. I am not with an MLB team, and I'm not even with an indie ball team right now. So I don't know what you would call me. Velo numbers from the league you played in, like it's 92, 95, top 96, top whatever, 97 maybe. I see you do a lot of hip mobility. How come not as much thoracic mobility? I do it all. I do a lot of mobility. I think I post most hip mobility stuff because that is what more oftentimes than not people want to see. Not a question, but love the content, the passion, and your joy for the game, rooting for you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Who wins live ABs, Eric Sim or Mike Trout? Eric Sim, 100%. Sprint or distance run? Sprint. What league's next? Not sure. Velocity, movement, or control more important in high school? This is another one of those things of like, which one is it, right? Like all of it, man. And probably the underlying thing here with this question is, what is the goal, right? Because I would say if the goal is to play or to get like drafted out of high school, then it's probably going to be velocity, obviously. But if your goal is to play like at the next level after high school, then it's probably a culmination of all three of those things and success, right? Or if your goal is just to get high school hitters out, then it's probably more so control. Okay, I have a lot of questions left. Game on the line, what are you throwing? Again, it's going to vary from outing to outing. And whatever I feel most comfortable in at that particular moment, that is going to get an out. In your experience, has tucking the thumb increased fastball RPMs? In my experience, absolutely not. But I know there's a lot of people out there that can tuck their thumb and throw. I, in particular, am not one of them. I cannot tuck my thumb and throw a baseball. Like, it feels so weird. So I use this ring finger on my four seam as like kind of a not a guide, but something that kind of keeps the ball where I want it. And I feel like if it was here, the ball would shift easy and I would lose my pressures on my two fingers here. But I know that the guys that like tuck their thumb are also guys that like keep this ring finger like way down here. And that, I had no idea where that's going. But yeah, I've done a lot of like testings on different grips, and not testings where like, oh, I'm worried about like where the ball's going as well. Just testings like seeing the metrics, right? And seeing if I can hit a gold mine with one of the grips. But honestly, every single grip, and I've tried probably 30 at this point, 4-seam fastballs, every grip was very similar in regards to the metrics that it was giving me. Some grips, I would say the one metric that would be drastically different was like the horizontal. That would change. But yeah. All right. That's all I got. Let's answer this one actually. How often do you throw with max intent when trying to gain velocity? I've talked about this in the past. Like obviously you have to understand like your body and your arm and what you can like handle and stuff. But I think the biggest misconception in regards to baseball development in today's day and age is like brake pedal with throwing. Don't throw a lot. Save your bullets, right? Like you're going to get TJ if you throw more than 81 pitches if you're 12. And not saying that that's like all wrong way of thinking and stuff, but in terms of like the way that your body and the way that your arm can adapt to the stress that you want it to adapt to, then you're going to have to put it through some of that similar environment that causes that stress. So for me personally, since the question is how often do you throw, meaning how often do I throw? I throw with max intent every single day that I throw a baseball. Like no joke. And now the volume's going to be different, but there's something to be said about how good like my arm feels right now. And probably the first time in my career where I just went through a whole season without any like hiccups, I would say. And that was one thing that I was pretty intentional about, was like the way that I played catch and the way I threw day in and day out. Because I know through experience what my arm and what my body needed for it to feel optimal every day. That goes beyond throwing, just to let you guys know. Okay, so tackled most of those. Still got a lot left, but I want to get on this ebook. I want to write a few chapters, so we're going to let you go. All right, guys. Much love. Until next time. Talk to you later. God bless.